Hi folks, this is a 1972 I think Bally Fireball pinball machine. Right now I'm working on the head and I just wanted to show you a few things. It's been in storage for over 20 years. So I just took it out, I'm starting to work on it, and just some observations real quick. So if I noticed here, whoever had it last, apparently one of these RCA jacks, or the like an RCA jack. Let's see if I can pull one out here. There it is. Are supposed to be on the end of each one of these two wires, and I guess they must have broke off or it was missing, whatever, and they just soldered it right onto that receptacle, which is okay. I mean, it allows you to have the bell go off because it's hooked up to the one end of the coil on the bell. When it scores 100 points or 1,000 points or none at all. Right now it's soldered on to ring the bell every time it scores 100 or 1,000 points. Also, this coil, as you can tell, is burned out. So either 100 points or 1,000 points must have gotten stuck on a play field and kept this coil energized, and you can tell it's bad because the plunger doesn't come down. So the plastic sleeve in there heated up because the coil gets stuck on and melted it. So I'll have to order another coil, and you can see how much it must have heated up because there's black soot up here. So I'll clean all of that off when I take it apart. Some other things, I'll probably take apart each one of the score wheels and clean the points, clean the shafts so it turns nice and smooth because they're probably sticking after all these years. So back to where I was. It looks like almost all the parts are here for the back box anyway. I see no screw holes that have nothing in them. So if you look here, this is the coin unit, and I'll be taking this apart to clean it up because it sticks. So if you put a quarter in, this should probably go up like that, and then after so many quarters it stops moving. And I know that's correct because it was designed not to have, get a good picture of it, not to have a tooth right there. So this way, if the coil kicks up again, it won't turn the wheel. And now this is the reset coil here. It's supposed to reset this completely to its home position, but it doesn't because it needs to be cleaned and lubricated. See how I just was able to push it down some? The other thing I'll do too is I'll clean these points up here on the side on this wafer board. I won't lift these up because they're pretty delicate. I'll just clean these off here with some very, very fine sandpaper, and then I'll put some dielectric grease on there as well so it turns smoothly. This one here is I think it's the match unit. You know, as you score different things on the play field, it will engage us and just randomly spin it and keep spinning it around. And it'll change the last two numbers on the score wheels from 00 to 90. And then after your last ball drains, if this matches the last two numbers of your score, you'll get a free game. But you see, pinball machine makers, they use the same parts over and over again. So you see here, it doesn't have this coil here in its assembly. At first you might think, oh geez, that's missing, somebody took it off. No, they use the same frame work all over the place in these machines. And sometimes, depending on its use, you don't need to have this. Just like for this piece here, for the match, you don't need to have it, because all this does is spin around. Whereas this one, I know it's supposed to be there because it's missing that one tooth, and that's how it's supposed to reset everything. Let's see, so we'll have it go back up. Okay, now it hits that missing tooth by design, and then when the game resets, it's supposed to reset this wheel completely, but like I said, it's sticky. That's why I have to take it apart. I just pushed it down a little bit by hand, and you can see when I turn it by hand, it doesn't reset all the way. It should go down to the bottom there to its home position. Some other things I've noticed: these coils here are pretty burned up. They're probably bad, but I'll have to test them. I'm going to test them for ohms. I can see these two are probably good, so I'll put the multimeter on ohm setting, and then I'll see what these two good ones draw. And if these still draw the same ohms, then they're probably still okay, but they look pretty crummy, so I'll just try them out. Here's another one of these same frameworks, and you can see this one has the return and the increment coil in the back, so that's complete. But here is the number of credits you have, and let me get better light on it. And this decreases your credit count. Eventually we'll get down to 0 credits, so you won't be able to start a game. You drop a quarter in, there's supposed to be a coil back here. It's missing a coil, and it's missing some of its hardware, associated hardware, to turn the dial, to turn that white gear like that, to have an increment every time you put a quarter in. But somebody took that off in the past. It's missing that coil. It's missing its associated hardware to make this increment. But they left the decrement to decrease when you start a game. So this one's still here. So now it's decreasing it. It's decreasing your credit counter one game every time I push this in, every time you push the start button. Not the end of the world. Plus, you can see that there's 2 wires disconnected. One, and there's one back here, 2. I'll tape them off. I'm not going to bother putting a coil back there and its associated hardware. It's not really needed. I mean, unless you want this to work off of coins, then yeah, you'll have to put it on, but I'm not too concerned about this. Someday I'll find another one, another credit unit, and I'll put it on, but right now, I don't need it to have the game work. So I'll tape up those wires. I will increase this to 1 credit, and then to keep it on free play, it's been a long time since I've worked on these machines, but I probably just got to separate one set of points back here. This way it'll never recognize that the wheel is down to 0, and you'll always have a credit available. Alright, so I'm going to start up another part of the video now and show you how to clean these points. And basically, you can pick these up at any pinball supply house. It's like a sandpaper, thin piece of sandpaper, but it's stiff but a little bit flexible yet. These older electromechanical games, I don't think they use gold-tipped points. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I've been using for years. Sometimes a file on the flipper points because they're heavier duty. And I also have, if I can get it up here, there it is, a point bender with 2 different angles on it. See, it's got a little slot there, and the bottom one has a slot in the opposite direction, 90 degrees off. Basically what you do is, to adjust the points, you'll have to put it on the end like that and just slightly bend it either direction to get the points to make or to break, depending on how the coil pulls it in. to start cleaning some more points, and I want to show you what I do. So this is one of the relays here, and when this coil gets energized, it'll pull in, it'll act like a magnet and pull this metal bracket in and cause these points to touch or to separate depending on how they're set up. But so what I do is I'll put this little sandpaper file in between the points. I'll hold it as if it was energized to close the point, and then just go back and forth a few times. Just to clean off the dirt, any burn marks that might be on there. And I'll do it for each one of these points. You have to see which way they make and break. Sometimes when it's at its home position like this, there may be a set of points touching, designed to touch when it's at its rest position like this, and then you just have to, put the file in there and go back and forth. The other thing I wanted to show you too is this first point is too far apart. So at rest, this point here is open. They're not making contact. But when the coil gets energized, they're supposed to make contact. And it might be hard to see, but it looks like it's just barely touching. So this is where this point bender comes in handy. And you'll just put it on the top. So you don't want to bend the one that's inside this plastic housing. That's supposed to be hooked up to the plastic. You don't want to bend that one. You want to bend the one that's not hooked up at the bottom, only at the top here. And you just have to give it a slight bend to bring it a little bit closer. Not so much that it makes contact all the time, but just, let's see if that's enough. It should have a little bit of a wiping action to keep the points clean. And I have to do a little bit more on it. Yeah, it's a little bit too much. So put that gap a little bit more. That might do it. Now I'll make believe I'm activating the coil. And you see it bends back just a little bit. That's actually, I want to bend it a little bit more, I think. A little closer now. That should do it. A slight wiping action is all you really need. And that's it. And I'll do that for every one of these points in this machine. Backbox, playfield, the bottom board. Clean them all, just where necessary only, and I'll check the wiring, make sure none of the wires broke off, see if there's anything missing, double check to make sure none of these wires are touching at the top, proper gap in the points, clean the various score wheels and like I was telling you before, each one, this is a 4-player machine, so there's 16 score wheels I have to take apart and clean and adjust as well. So it actually takes a lot of time to get a machine up and running reliably. But once it's done, it usually lasts a long time without any issues. So that's it. Thanks. Again, it's a 1972 Bally Fireball pinball machine.